So when we went, I mean, it did feel like that, but it's just, it's home, but it's not friendly. I mean, there's a part of it that will always be home to me. It's not friendly to us, and I don't know. I just don't know how to feel comfortable doing that to my kids.
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. Who doesn't like a good Twitter drag? Especially when it involves Robyn Brown from Sister Wives. Woo! If there's nothing better than getting dragged on Twitter, if it's involving Robyn or Cody, I don't know what there is. Okay, I'm just kidding. She's not that evil, is she? In the final episode of season 15, there was this dust up between Cody Brown and his wives. Well, Cody Brown, Christine, and Christine versus everyone. So Christine made this decision that she wanted to proposition and suggest to the family that they move to Utah. Christine decided that moving back to Utah would be a really good idea for the family, because the family had really moved away from their faith. They were not actively involved in their church because, heck, their church is nowhere near them. They were not living around other polygamists, making it harder for them to have any sort of community around them. No polygamous friends with them in Arizona. So without the people surrounding them being in polygamy, they were living in a monogamous world, and that structure had seeped into their family, and they were now starting to live 4 separate lives, basically all monogamous, with Cody as like the central focal point of the family.
And polygamy got decriminalized. And I wonder why we're still here.
With that being said, she said that moving back to Utah would be a good thing because they got rid of a law that made it a felony. There was polygamists there, their churches were there, and they would be able to get back to their families. So they have most of their families there. Christine's parents are there. Christine has 3 of her children living there. Mary's mom at the time, she has now passed away, was running an inn in Utah. There was also Robyn's family lives there. Her parents live in Utah. So a lot of them have ties to Utah. Janelle's mom did not live in Utah. So Janelle was probably the only one of the sister wives that did not have any ties to Utah. So Christine presented the option to them and said, hey, listen, like, the law is down. The law is no longer a felony. We can move back. It won't be that big of a deal. It'll be great. Some of the pushback given was that even though the law has been removed, or even though it's become an infraction socially, polygamy is still not accepted very well. Kids would still be ostracized. They'd still have to deal with a lot of the issues that go along with being public and being polygamist, and that they still wouldn't be highly accepted in Utah. The other issue that they brought up was that it could get changed back at any time. So just because it's not a felony now doesn't mean that they couldn't pass new legislation to make it a felony again. There was other issues like Janelle saying, I don't have any family there. I have no ties to Utah. I don't want to go there. I like Flagstaff. Mary saying that once she got kicked out of Utah, she had no interest in going back to Utah. And then this family lawsuit against the state of Utah also made a few of them uninterested in moving back. Cody basically said that they would never get what they have in Flagstaff in Utah, although some of you guys in my comments said that he was lying, suggesting that property in Utah is not as expensive as it is in Flagstaff, so he could be stretching the truth there. But then it was Robyn who came in with her own agenda, and she said that she didn't want to move to Utah because she didn't think it would be friendly for her children. She didn't think she was concerned about the law potentially being back to a felony, and she said she just could not do that to her children, Solomon and Ari. Solomon is 8 years old. I think he's in 1st or 2nd grade, and Ari is 4. So with that all being said, Robyn shoots it down, and once Robyn shot it down is kind of when Christine sort of lost it, and you know why, is because Cody will basically do whatever Robyn does. Now, fans were immediately furious with Robyn on Twitter because during the episode she tweeted about why she didn't want to move, and she said this: I have several family members that live in Utah. My dad, my mom live there, and I would love to be able to see them more and be able to be around them during this time in their life. Moving to Utah is such a temptation. I just don't think it's fair to do that to our kids. So she says that it's not fair to do this to our kids, which is kind of ironic if you think about it, because the last move was from the state of Nevada to Flagstaff, and the long rumor is that they moved there because her son Dayton was attending school in Flagstaff and Robyn wanted to be closer to Dayton. Some suspected was that Robyn was such a like a mother hen and didn't want Dayton to be by himself because of her saying that he has some disabilities. She's never really specified. She suggested at one point that he was on the autism spectrum, although that's been sort of contested later on. He did have an accident with an ATV where he lost function in one of his eyes and had to have some surgeries, so there could be some issues there. But she says that I don't want to move because it's not fair to my kids. If you remember, when they did move from Nevada to Arizona, several of the kids did not want to go, including Isabel, Gwendolyn, Gabriel, Savannah. So a lot of the older kids did not want to move because they were in high school. They wanted to finish high school in Nevada. They didn't want to uproot and leave their lives that they had established in Nevada. They were all very happy there. Fans on Twitter were pretty mad when she said that she couldn't do that to her kids because they felt like she was being selfish, because when it affected her kids, she wanted to move. So when it would benefited Dayton that she be there, the family moved to Flagstaff. But when it could potentially be good for the family to move back to Utah to be around their family and to be around the church again, they think she's being selfish and she's only again thinking about her kids because she didn't think about the others. So this is what someone said. It didn't seem to matter when Gabe and some of the others had their high school years disrupted by being dragged to Flagstaff. Another person responded, said, "What about all the kids you uprooted from Vegas? They didn't want to follow your son to Flagstaff either. You're going to get SHIT wherever you go. You're on TV." And someone responded that, "I agree with you. She didn't consider the other kids when leaving Vegas." Someone else said, wouldn't be the first time. Last time, 3 in their senior year, but they were not yours, which is true. And another person responded and said, "Yeah, you uprooted everyone for your son to attend college just for him to drop out. So what's the difference?" And then someone responded and said, "I didn't know that he started college there. That's the real reason they moved. Wow." When he dropped out, not judging, just trying to understand. There was so many of these types of comments, most of them incredibly outraged and angry and calling her a hypocrite, telling her that she's selfish, telling her that she's only thinking about herself. One person said this, "But you have teenagers that are grown now, almost all out of high school, and just little kids at home. Why not move where you all want to be? Utah is home, you said, but you would get some snub in Arizona too. You and the kids and wives and Cody. So think about what you said." So obviously people are saying, doesn't make sense. Your kids are super young. Your older kids are graduating anyway. Who cares? Like, leave Utah. Another person said "Where was this energy when y'all moved to Flagstaff? It increasingly seems like only your kids matter, and that's sad." Someone else said, "You were the one who moved the entire family to Flagstaff for one kid so you can move then again. I'm sure the kids would survive." So true. It does seem rather selfish that when she has needs for her children, those needs are met, but when the needs of other children are not, then it's inconvenient for her. And someone said this, "You suck. The pain in Isabel, when her father refused to be there for her surgery, was haunting and heartbreaking. You're an evil creature. May God have mercy on your dark soul." So she's an evil creature. And then finally one person said, "Cody already made the kids move to accommodate you and your son. So why is this a problem now? Also, why are you sharing your husband with other women, because the two of you sure don't seem like polygamists?" It's so true. It is so true. Now, the interesting thing is that when Robyn tweeted again, she did mention that she and Janelle have had a shared experience about getting out onto the property. She said this, "Janelle and I have also talked about our shared vision of our family's future and getting out on the property. Having these kinds of conversations with her has been sanity for me. I have had this thought and belief this entire time that the only wives left in a relationship with Cody at this point are Janelle and Robyn, being that they're the only two that are on the properties independently of the other sister wives, and the fact that I think Janelle will do whatever Cody wants in order to stay in his good graces, and Cody will stay with whatever wives don't give him the most grief, and Robyn will capitalize and do anything she can to make sure that Cody gives all of her children attention over everyone else." So long story short, many of the fans are super mad at Robyn, saying that it's really hypocritical for her to move the family to Arizona when she needed to for Dayton. But when Christine brings up an idea about moving to Utah, then it's suddenly inconvenient for her children and she can't go. It's funny because in another tweet, Robyn talked about how she wants Christine's voice to feel like it matters, but it doesn't really seem like it does. It seems like when it comes to decisions, Cody goes with whoever agrees with him, either Janelle or with Robyn. He rarely ever favors anything to do with Christine or Mary. So is it true? Does Christine's voice not matter? I think so. Is it true that Robyn is a giant hypocrite? I agree. Is a good Twitter drag amazing and a fun thing to watch? Yes, but you should always be courteous and not be rude to the people that you interact with. Although I will say that many of these comments weren't all that terrible. Maybe the one that was the harshest was calling her evil. But I mean, it kind of is, right? So what do you think about all of this? Is she a hypocrite? And do you think Christine's voice matters? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.